Hi there. I just can't really talk about anything else right now than what's going on, what happened to Charlie Kirk, and I'm gonna talk based from my experience. I grew up in Lithuania, post-Soviet country. I moved to US when I was 19, and I went through being apolitical, don't give a crap about any politics moments where as I got older, maybe as a lot of people do, it starts to impact your life. As you see, the politics impact to a degree. I mean, we're responsible for our success no matter which leadership we have, but which economy, which leadership, but it still affects us, our community as a whole, and where the society is heading. So it's almost like responsibility. I used to not understand why people say you have to vote, you have to vote. Well, I don't want to vote. What if I don't care to vote? But when you don't vote, then people that you don't want to be in power ends up being in power. And even the person you vote for might not have all the answers you want, because there's no perfect person, and they won't be able to solve everything. But we have to stand up for what we think is the closest to what we believe in. And as I see in US right now, it just as barbaric as other countries that we consider to be barbarics. Like, for example, Russia. Not to say that all Russians are, but in their politics throughout my lifetime, and when I was growing up, my grandmother always told me that, they just kill their opponents. They don't want to have into power people that might get traction with the public that is their opposition. However, what happened to Charlie Kirk was not just political opposition, it was religious opposition. And at the same time, these people that applaud a Christian being murdered, they supposedly support Muslims and other religions. But I don't know why there's so much hate against Christians. Because if you look at Islam, and there's way more suppression. And I'm not saying, all Muslims would be suppressive, but their religion is even more strict as Christianity for their followers. So I feel like there's so much contradictions going on, and I've been with God, and in certain times in my life I didn't believe in God, but I'll tell you that my life has always been better when I turned to God and I believed in God. Just really, when you decide to believe in higher power and lead your life with the utmost integrity, your life just gets better. And I don't know if the Bible is real or not, but if you follow those principles in the New Testament that are Jesus principles, your life will get better. You have to work hard, don't cheat, don't steal, help your neighbor. What's wrong with these principles? Or if we believe we should allow babies to be born, and I'm not black on white, there should be certain exceptions, but if everybody's healthy, why not have more people that are gonna contribute? They might be inventors, they might be writers, they might be inventors of the cancer cure, for all we know. Even if they're orphaned, doesn't mean their life is destined to be or if, you know, their parents cannot take care of them, we as society should find ways to take care of them. But, you know, what I was saying, that I feel like maybe people everywhere are the same. Like I was saying, you know, oh, we make fun of like less maybe educated or less financially well-off countries for doing certain things, but it's the same here. It's just in a different clothing, different viewpoints that people are fighting about. It's really, when people call each other names like Nazis, you're comparing person that believes in God to a mass murderer. Make it make sense. And I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying, then you just don't watch this video. But we should think about the magnitude, you know, of these statements, how hyperbolized these statements are. So I became more conservative as I got older. I was brought up as a Christian, and then I kind of went away from that. But as I have to be a business leader and help people and a landlord, I have to turn to God a lot of times because it is challenging, and only through God I can do these things. I could not do them on my own. I'm truly honest. And I don't know, you know, whether it's some sort of power of, is it God as we know, as is described, or is it something else? But I believe in some sort of power beyond our comprehension. Some sort of power beyond us there is. At least I hope, I believe that there is. And perhaps, you know, karma and judgment day will come to us all. Or also what I was thinking, you know, a lot of people think that this is it, the earth, this is it. Like, if you're, let's say, don't believe in higher power, it is, you want to make this a place of heaven, but, you know, it's never going to be heaven, because the heaven, it's supposed to be after. I'm convinced a lot of times that this is actually like hell right now that we're living through because of what's happening. And maybe it's like a learning tests we're going through. The other thing is we should have freedom of speech to debate and agree to disagree, because when you get to these extremisms on either side where they can't hear out the other side, that's where problems happen. I believe everybody should have rights. And nobody's trying to take away rights from minorities. But there is limits, right? There is limits to things. And also sometimes when we treat minorities as, oh, you need help, you need to be on assistance, that we disempower them. The only people, like, I'm an immigrant and I'm a woman, I never took a dime for housing, for anything like that. I earned everything, because I think that should be reserved to people that are truly disabled. Those people should be getting assistance. They have, you know, mental need to be helped, physical limitations. They can't do certain things. But if you're a healthy individual, I feel like you should never be of an assistance, no matter what shape, size, gender, color you are. There is equal opportunity if you work hard. I'm a woman. I am an immigrant. Came here at age 19. And if I was able to get through to where I am now, so can anybody. And I didn't have my parents to help me. They passed away. My mom when I was 14, my dad when I was 19. Because I was raised to be strong, a victor, not a victim. So we should raise people to be a victor, not a victim. And that's what Charlie Kirk was saying. He was, and I didn't follow closely and watch all these videos, but I've seen them. And what I've gathered that he was spreading the message, you know, he was very religious, which he has the right to. That's his way of going through life and coping through life. He has the right to, and he believed in what he believed in, and you can choose to follow or not to follow. But just because you have different beliefs, you cannot shoot somebody without, you know, if they did something wrong, they should go through trial and through proper justice system. But he hasn't done anything. So the thing is, I feel like we enabled that type of behavior maybe here in US, where the compassion and tolerism towards that type of hate is normal. And, oh, well, they're this and that because they had bad childhood. I had bad childhood. I grew up with it wasn't bad. I don't say it was bad, but if you looked on paper, it would appear, oh, well, grew up with grandmother, lost both parents at teenage age, you know. I had all the excuses to become homeless, criminal, drug addict, all the things. And the thing is, we also teach our men to be weak too. We teach our men it's okay to tell their girlfriends to pay for everything half, you know, but they're mothers. I'm not a mother, but there are women that are mothers. And I think people that say they want equality, they're actually putting down the role of a woman, a mother, that actually it's opposite what they're doing. They're doing disservice because now they're making them overwork, plus the child care, plus the house care. It's good for those that, you know, husbands do equal help with the child care and home care, but that's not often the case. And that kind of rhetoric that men are 50-50, they're equal, they're not. They're different in different ways that are positive ways. And we should celebrate that. We should not be ashamed of it. I want my husband to be better above me. I want to be able to rely on him. I don't want to be the main breadwinner because that's a bit heaviness on my shoulders. Men historically through centuries been the ones that were go out and gather and catch food. Women were at home making fire, watching after the kids. I think that's in our DNA as animals, as birds, you know, do certain things. Mothers stay on eggs. Fathers go catch birds. And, you know, worms. Different species, of course, going to be slightly different. And I'm not saying that father could not be staying at home if they want to like that. Maybe there's females that truly want to be breadwinners, but I think majority, they would rather not. You know, there's going to be outliers. It's like a spectrum. But let's look at majority. Because I see struggle women a lot when they have to be single mothers, main breadwinners, and have weak men in their lives. I see their struggles because I employ them. Not to say they're not happy if if they escape like some dangerous situation. They're probably happier than they were relying on that weak men that they were with, weak men. But in general, they would have been better off if they had actually a decent guy that was helping them to raising the kids, feeding them, taking them to, letting them off to education. So it happened to Kirk. It's like it was done by a young individual, as it appears right now, what they have in custody. And at that age, people have I feel like they might be very confused. And what Charlie was doing, he was going into Devil's Den almost. He was going to the opposition, challenging people with opposing upbringing views. And I feel like at that age, people are still confused. They have hormones that hasn't settled. They are could be hot-tempered, and that's what happened. This person that assassinated Charlie, it probably doesn't look like it was well planned. It was more slow hate, that he felt like people were hating on transgenders, with people not hating on transgenders. It's just that, let's say, I think that we should wait until adulthood before people start changing their gender, for minors and things like that. As more conservative person, I think that we should wait until people become adults and not push on them one way or the other, the same as they should be allowed, to explore religion or not religion and their views, who they truly are, to discover. And if we just push them on one side, then they will will resist that, and they will not be able to see for themselves right from wrong. So I'm always very open to different people I love, no matter what sexual preference you have, as long as it's not perverted, such as perverted being like attracted to minors or animals or things like that. That is just not. I think that is mental illness. But the thing is that's what I feel conservatives stand for, and the mainstream media tends to report that conservatives are aggressive, but I don't see anybody looting the stores. People want to light candles and have vigils. I don't think black people are victims either, but when black people get hurt, there is destruction, movements. But when a white person like that Ukrainian girl, what happened, it just was heartbreaking. It could have been me. That could have been me. I moved to US at age 19. I was white. I didn't have money. I was riding public transit with sketchy individuals in it. I didn't know that US was dangerous because to the outside world, US is portrayed as a safe country, which is not. I was held at gunpoint in Brooklyn, New York. I think I was 20 because I was coming back late from the subway, and I felt the gun right there, and it was a black individual. I'm not against black individuals. I employed black individuals. This is about a person, not what color they are. I think we should start judging people by what they do, their criminal record. So anyway, it was, and so then I said, I pulled quarters of my pocket and I said, this is all I have. And then when I turned around, he saw my face and it's like, he didn't take the quarters and he was asking me he says, go. He was like, are you single? Like, I peed my pants literally as I was running. I kid you not, that's the only time in my life I peed my pants. And I was so happy to be back home. I didn't report it to the police or anything. Probably I should, but I don't know if they would have caught him because I didn't see his face very well. It was dark. But, you know, I moved anyway from that neighborhood because there was other murders that happened in the same building in Brooklyn. So it is that, where I was going with this, that it could have been me, you know. So I learned that US is dangerous right there. And then when I was renting an apartment one time, room in the apartment, one guy almost approached me, almost like he was trying to expose himself to me. I don't know what his motives were, but that was super scary. So anyway, it's a large country. There's gonna be, you know, good and bad individuals, like any country. We're not an exception here, and we should stop being on a high horse too. That it is, that we're all knowing, and we should tell other countries what to do or not to do. So just, let's think about what we want for future generations. What we want our country to be like. And, you know, when people say anti-immigration, that the right is anti-immigration, I don't see it that way. I'm an immigrant. I never received anything towards me as an immigrant from Republicans. And they're about illegal immigration. They want quality immigrants. They want contributing immigrants. They want secure from drug trades, secure borders, which I agree with. I know the immigration reform should be done. There should be path when you come in as a refugee, you should receive work permit. You shouldn't be on assistance from American taxpayers. That's what I think should be happening. And the mainstream media, I feel like they just want to highlight the stirring the pot, highlight that somehow Republicans are aggressive, which the only aggression I ever received was from the left. When I expressed on my personal Facebook page, this was several years ago, before, I think now they removed men from women's sports, transgender men, but I think there's a limit because men biologically are different, and I was a runner and a bodybuilder. I still lift. Okay. I cannot compete with a male, biological male. So I support guys that want to dress and live life as a woman. Power to you. I support you 100%. I love you. I have no hate for you, but you gotta compete with the right chromosomes. XY is XY. yeah, maybe your brain been wired as a woman, but leave women's sports to biological females. It's just, no matter how many, hormones you take, you're gonna have that advantage of your muscles and bones being stronger, bigger as a male, usually. Yeah, is there smaller males than me? But, let's look at the general picture. Look at men bodybuilders. Look at female, it's like day and night. You just cannot live the same. The same with runners. I used to run and compete in marathons and 5Ks, 10Ks. Men always win. Given the same training, given the same age ranges. So I think we need to stop acting as victims, but act like victors. America is still the freest country. If you went to Muslim countries, you could not be easily transgender there. Or, even as a woman, women's rights are not like here. I don't think it is. And Republicans not saying take away women's rights. They are saying respect women that we need more population. Because actually other populations, West is losing its population. They're gonna overpower us. And maybe that's what people don't care about. They want that. I used to think that we were all overpopulated and that's why I don't want kids. I don't have kids, but I'm 37, 38 almost, so I don't know if I will still go ahead and have kids, but I was under the impression that the world was overpopulated. It's actually not, especially the West. And Christians are gonna shrink, and there is prejudice against Christians. There is almost some sort of power that would rather have any other religion but Christianity. It's under attack. We are under attack, almost. So I feel like that's why Christian people should continue to have families and kids and raise them with these values. I believe, and I was almost aborted, and that's why I'm anti-abortion, because my mother was advised by my father's mother, because she didn't like her. She didn't want them to get married, so that way she said you should abort the baby. And my mom's mom advised her not to, because she said she would help raise me, and that's what happened. And yeah, so I think it is inhumane to abort babies, unless, like I said, there is a health risk to mother or the baby. But if it's just for some silly reason, like, oh, I don't like her, she should not have the kid of my son, or, well, I don't have the money right now, that is not good enough reason. And if you can't have kids, you don't want kids, practice. These days, you don't have to have kids if you don't want to. I never got pregnant because I use protection such as IUDs. There's other things that can be used. So there's really no excuse. And if like that failed, maybe that was in the cards for you, for that child to bring blessings to you and to the world. So I really laid out a lot of my personal opinions here. This has nothing to do with business I conduct. This is solely my personal opinion for my life, what I stand for at this point in time. It might change. People grow from one side to the other, as I did. People can go and change, and the parties change. What was Democratic Party before is not the same as it is now. What was Republican before probably is not the same as it is now. It's not forever for forever. Anything is fluid, it changes, but that's where we are right now. And we need to, I feel like we need to stand up for our Western values: law and order, cleanliness, tolerance, ability to agree to disagree. Even with my husband, we are on certain things total opposites as far as politics. Not everything, but many things. Well, not many, maybe half. At the end of the day, we agree that sometimes we just have to agree to disagree. But we still have wonderful relationship. We have wonderful relationship. We support each other. I lift him up, he lifts me up. And he's not follower of Christ either. And he'll come to church with me, but he's not convinced. And I leave it up to him, up to whatever he wants to do with his, in his life. God, it's not my responsibility to convince him of anything. Even in the Bible, it is written that God will do its work on when time is right. So let me know in the comments down below if you can resonate with any of these sentiments, your thoughts. And I appreciate watching. I wish everybody peace and safety. Love your neighbors, even if you don't disagree with them. I'd still help and support the person if they were sick, hurt, needed help. If I don't agree with them, I'll help them. They are human beings above all, and they deserve a chance. Of course, unless they're hurting somebody, they're killing somebody, then yes. Just wait. I'm gonna stand up, and if I have a chance, I'll do what I have to do. People that hurt the people who can't defend themselves, such as from long range, not face-to-face fight, those are cowards. Those are people who can't fight with their intelligence and words, or their even physical strength. They choose to hide on the roofs, whatever, to do their deed, crime of hate. Those people are sad, probably depressed, and we shouldn't condone that type of behavior. We should, as a society, not condone that type of behavior. Everybody, I hope you have a brilliant day. Please subscribe. I'll see you next video.